Hi guys, Brett here from Hearns Hobbies, and today I'd like to take a look at and unbox Tamiya's latest Super Avante. And this builds on the legacy of the kit that was released back in 1988, the Avante, and that was cutting edge at the time. It had planetary diffs, it had a load of exquisite components, was really cutting edge and a really premium expensive kit. Now this one also takes a lot of its design and styling cues from futuristic, so it's got like these little mudguard things, it's got inboard front shocks, which is not something that you see every day on a 1/10 off-road buggy, and it does retain an enclosed driver figure, which is really cool, not a lot that we see on the modern buggies. So let's take the lid off and jump in the box of the Tamiya Super Avante. Let's have a look. I love the design work, it is fantastic. The design work on this, some of the aesthetics was actually carried out by a design house called Znug, Z-N-U-G, and that's a design house in Japan, and they've worked on a lot of projects in the big car world as well, from Toyota and stuff like that. So anyway, let's have a look. So we've got this beautiful detailed body, and I'm going to jump right in here and have a look. Oh, that is really nice and very chunky polycarbonate, which is really nice. It's going to be really nice and robust. Now this is always going to be hard to see on camera. It does have a protective film, and you can see in the mold here they've actually included those mud guards, so that's really cool that it's all in the one piece. From underneath here we do have part of the driver figure under here. That's really cool, and the interior plate for him to sit on somewhat. Really nice mold. We can see here by the date stamp this one was pressed in 2021, and this was a 2022 release. So body, big wing. We've actually taken some competition cues here. We've got some different levels of wing like we have on the competition cars for actually how much downforce you're trying to produce. So you can either cut it small, like for a high speed track, or really large if it's a really slow speed track that you're requiring lots of traction. That's pretty cool. I like that feature. Well done, Tamiya. This side of the box, the star dish wheels, how iconic are they? These are absolutely beautiful, and in their fluoro yellow color, really cool. They add a really cool sort of retro feel and vibe to this car. Now one thing you notice here, the first bag that we've got here is the suspension arms and components. Now what I'm noticing straight off the bat is, I might just move this one forward, let's zoom in here. Now what I'm noticing straight off the bat is in fact how much glass there is, or long strain nylon. These are actually proper injection molded plastic parts. This isn't just ABS plastic. This is like competition grade plastics on this car, offering a really good amount of flex and tensile strength. Really cool. Front and rear arms, very chunky and sure to take a beating. What we've got here, so this is the four-wheel drive, the Avante. So this does have front and rear gearboxes, and both of these gearboxes are going to contain ball differentials. Now I'm looking at the gearbox case here, and it's really cool how they've got this. That's where the differential is going to sit in the outdrives, which are all hardened steel. We've got a little lay shaft here, and we've got a couple of bevel gears here going to the drive shaft. Now that is a shaft drive car, so shaft drive from front to rear, and it's really cool. They've got these 90-degree, well, it'd be two 45-degree bevel cut gears to give us a 90-degree drive angle. Really good design there, quite robust, really nice cases. Again, the super stiff plastics, looking really sharp. Here we have a parts tree that I can see some gears on. Now usually I'm not a fan of gears on parts trees, because that usually indicates that you'll have to do hand finishing. But this one, it's almost undergated, and the fact that obviously they've thought about where they were putting the injection molding, and it looks like there's going to be very little to no hand finishing whatsoever. Again, it's got that really hard plastic. We've got the ball ends here as well on the same parts tree. We've got a wing mount, two wing mounts. We've got a high wing mount and a low wing mount. Again, different aesthetics and different tuning options, and various bits of the chassis there. Looking forward, we've got some more ball cups here. These are those 45-degree bevel gears I was talking about. That's what's going to give us that drive shaft across the front or rear gearbox. Very robust. Looking deeper into the box now, Tamiya's perennial favourite, the Super Gripper, if I'm not mistaken. Absolutely, the Super Gripper. Now these, to my mind, first came on, I want to say Top Force, sort of back in 1990, 1991. Really, really cool. These are really good. These will be awesome on really like gravel and on grass. Really long pins, really good for throwing up roost tails and throwing dirt everywhere. Really cool. Obviously got two sizes, so being a four-wheel drive car, we use wider ones on the rear and a little bit narrower ones on the front there. You can see the size difference there, front and rear. Very cool. They look very retro. They just add to the look and appeal of this TD4, more plastic parts. Here we have some of the suspension and hubs. I'm going to take the opportunity to open this bag because this will give us an understanding of exactly how strong and how much of a pounding that this car can potentially take. Now look at that rocker arm. Now that's for the front inboard suspension here. And we can see there that that's going to take, looks like to be a 5x11 bearing. Really, really meaty. And it looks like we've got a 3mm push rod strength here. Really, really strong, the turnbuckles. Here we have what looks to be a rear hub. Again, takes a nice big oversized bearing on the inside hole. Looking very good. And it looks to be 2.5 or 3mm outer hinge pins. This thing has definitely been made not just to be a shelf queen. Now over here, have a look at this guy. This is the steering block, and Tamiya have really thought about that. They've beveled the edges here, so that's going to give us plenty of steering angle, turning capabilities, while also leaving plenty of meat on the mold and distance between the bearings to create a really strong and stiff steering hub assembly. Here we have the caster hub. That's where the front camber turnbuckle will go. Again, really, really strong. Good job Tamiya on that. And without further ado, we go all the way down into the chassis. All new chassis design for this car, the TD4. So, almost like a traditional Tamiya tub. You can see here the battery's going to slide in across the side there. It actually goes in from the front to the rear on the four-wheel drive car. I think this is the same component as on the Astute 2022, where it runs across the chassis, whereas on the two-wheel drive it does go underneath, north-south. Here we have the rear gearbox case. You can see this big slot here, that's where the spur gear is going to sit across the drivetrain. The motor actually mounts up from underneath. You can see this big round recess under here. Motor's going to screw up underneath here, and the underslung diff as well. Again, ball differentials front and rear. Now it does have all oil-filled CVA shocks, and they should be located in the Tamiya box of goodness. Just going to cut this one open. My 9 steps knife. Let's have a look in here. These are my favorite bits. Oh, straight away, driver figure. That mold is looking as crisp as ever. Here we have a blue bag. Now there'll be a reason that this is blue. This will be front or rear, and that is shock absorber parts. So I've got here, we've got a couple of different sets of pistons, spring retainers and ride height collars. The servo saver parts tree, formerly known as, in a lot of kits, Tamiya kits, it's known as the P parts tree. They've gone up the scale a little bit. This is the Q parts tree. So it can still take the Sanwa and the Futaba style servos there, 23 and 25 tooth. Again, here's the clear bag of the shock parts, being the front or the rear. Here we have our metal parts bag. What I like to see here is the blue anodized. It's got blue anodized wheel nuts, a really nice touch. We've got a hinge pin here with a groove in it, so that'll have a lock-in pin. We have got dog bones, looks like, on the rear. We've got some springs and shock absorber parts and shock shafts. Okay, coming out again. Here we've got some foams, our really popular 4-way Tamiya spanner, some cable ties, battery foam, parts bag C. Again, we've got silicone damper oil. It's really good that they've included that, not that horrible mineral stuff that's in a lot of the other kits. Screw bag and some more springs. Further down into the box, we've got this. Now that is a center drive shaft, and that hooks the front gearbox up to the rear gearbox. And as far as I'm concerned, the Tamiya blue anodizing there just is none better. It is a fantastic color, and it's the quality of their anodizing products is second to none. In here we've also got ball differential components. I can see we've got some drive rings, we've got some balls and some diff gears, as well as ball bearings for the transmission. Body clips in this one. Further down, got some more plastics. Here are the shocks, plastic body shocks on these. Now people poo-poo that a bit, but I absolutely love the Tamiya plastic shocks. I think they're great units, really good to work on. They don't wear much, and they are ridiculously strong. Here we have more drive shafts, bag B and bag A, last but not least. And here we have our spur gear. We have our really nice looking blue anodized aluminium motor mount. We've got some idler gears for the transmission and some ball end cups. So that is really cool. I suppose one thing left to do that we haven't ventured yet is the instructions and the sticker sheet, of course. My favorite part. Let's get in the instructions out here. Made quite a mess on the desk with all this. Okay, Super Avante. Absolutely beautiful. Again, we've got greeted by our warnings, fundamentals, stick radio even, and straight in to the gearbox and rear gearbox assembly. Really, really good to see. The thing about Tamiya instructions is that they do show you where to use grease, where to use Loctite, how to use it. And if you follow all these little guidelines and tips, you'll actually build yourself a very decent kit. And rest assured, will go together fantastic. Straight into the ball diff, very, very familiar with the current stuff. It even tells you here to pre-tension the spring, which is really good. A lot of people don't even do that in the competition kits, but yeah, if you give the little thrust spring a squeeze, will help you with a more consistent diff action. Goes on to tell you when building the shock absorbers, the different weight oils, the different thicknesses and what applications they'll be used. Then moving forward, we're heading towards putting the servo saver assembly together and installing the radio gear. And it tells you exactly how to have your radio on, what holes to use, and exactly what position your servo horn needs to be. Moving our way forward onto the front gearbox, front differential, same as the rear. And we've got this beautiful bell crank system for the steering, which is very, very similar to a lot of the modern buggies and what they're using. Putting in the drive shaft and it all coming together. That is fantastic. I'd love to see that. Putting the tires on and the wheels. And have a look at these beautiful stickers. They are really modern looking, with also a huge nod and wave to the old legacy that was the Avante. And on the back here, these ones here, these are all the window masks, so and all the clear panels. So that's really good that they've done that. So they don't include them each individual. You will have to cut them out, but you won't have to do each and every one individually. Now, if you love the Avante, but you don't want to paint it, there's also a painted version, so out of the box. And this would be the one I'd choose. Not that I don't love painting it, but if we go to the overhead camera, let's have a look in this box and let's see what we're greeted with. And you can see straight away that we have got a yellow tub chassis. And I really love that. I think that's going to look really cool. And that's going to be one of those things that you'll probably never be able to get again. So it's going to become quite a piece of history in itself, the yellow tub chassis Super Avante. Very cool. Yellow chassis. We've got yellow painted springs here, and of course the pre-painted body, clear wing, which is a very modern design cue, and the painted mudguards back here. And that's not just cheaply painted, that is properly painted. You can see by the overspray and stuff that has been actually properly painted. It's not just stickers on the inside. That is a proper painted body, and the masking is just so crisp. And that's what I was saying before about the window mask, and that you can see here all the clear sections on this body. That's what that window mask represents. So that's the painted one. Fantastic. So that is the Super Avante TD4, and that is both the painted and unpainted version. And I'm Brett from Hearns, and thanks for watching.